Hi there, welcome to the session using the campus to facilitate crucible moments. My name is Dr. Jonathan Staggs, and I hope that you have enjoyed the scavenger hunt and that you have correctly identified the next place that we want to showcase in this session. So it is the Art Museum, and so I wanted to talk about just the ways that this space, as well as the people, can help support crucible moments in your teaching. And so I propose that there are at least four ways, but these are four ways that I've been able to interact and collaborate with the UQ Art Museum. Firstly, it begins with just collaborating with the staff themselves and inviting them into my lectures or my workshops. Interfacing with the collections themselves, and I'll go on to just talk about how amazing the resources that we have here at UQ are, both physically going into the Art Museum, as well as some digital resources that we have. Connecting the course themes with art and just looking for ways to go, well, this is the theme around sustainability or ethical leadership. How might art help support that? And then what I'm really quite passionate about is this idea of interacting with my students in the space of the Art Museum. Just creates this place of social inclusion that breaks down perhaps any power distance that might exist in a traditional classroom. How might the museum as a space help create new places of inclusion? And so just to begin with, I've found collaborating with the UQ staff, Art Museum staff, to be really rewarding. I'll come up with a brief as to what I'm looking for, and then I've engaged with them. And so, for example, Isabella Baker came into one of my classes online, and she talked through visual thinking strategies. And so she was able to just teach myself and the class how we can use visual cues to think about the way we think. And so that was fascinating there. I've also had other staff come in and curate pieces that were aligned with some of the themes of the course or some of the learning outcomes that I wanted to achieve. And so you can see here one of the staff members in a physical room here at UQ, but using some of the digital resources that is available. Going a little bit deeper, I asked the staff to come up with a little bit of a description as to what we were seeing and getting students themselves to develop almost a new language of this is what I see, this is what I notice. So trying to improve that attention to detail. Sometimes, we can gloss over things and we're in such a rush, whereas this exercise of looking at an art piece together and describing what we see really allowed our class to really slow down and take the time to focus on some of the little details. And what invariably came out was some students noticed different things. And so that provided a really nice holistic way to have a discussion. Also, I've just highlighted here some of the biographical information about the artists themselves. I don't know art history, but having an expert come in and talk about the artists themselves and what they were seeking to do within their particular era, within their generation, provided a really nice a departure point for the class to think about what we're doing in particular eras of history and what we can learn, hopefully, what we can learn from the past and potentially noticing particular eras. And in this case, there was an optimism and a grandiosity in the way that this particular artist painted. So what does that mean for us today? Was a discussion that we were able to facilitate using the Art Museum. In one of my innovation courses this year, I was looking at the history of electricity, and we focused on Thomas Edison and his design of the electric light. And as I'm walking across campus, I noticed that the Art Museum has an exhibition called We Are Electric. So that provided an opportunity for me to reach out to the staff there. And I was able to get a guest lecturer to come in, Anna Breers, and she was able to talk through and explain the collection, which was a critical reflection upon the way that we have extracted resources for energy in the past. And so for me, this was a really nice way to circle back critically on some of the themes of the course. Is innovation always positive? Are there costs to this pursuit of technological innovation? And so this came at a really nice time when students were preparing for their final submission in the course. And I really encouraged them to use art as a way, as a stimulus or a catalyst for them to critically reflect upon the report that they were expected to submit. And so that was a really fascinating guest lecture, and then followed by a really nice tour where the students, after that guest lecture, came into the art museum. And we were able just to facilitate a different type of learning where students, it was very tactile. You can see here students interacting with the art pieces themselves. And what I found fascinating as an educator was it did break down this, I guess, pedagogical relationship where the art was the focus, and it was informal. We were able to have discussions and converse about what we saw in particular art pieces. And so for me, the museum itself can facilitate places of social inclusion where we can, educators and students alike can come into a place where opinions are welcome, diversity is celebrated, and the art itself just provides that medium with which to have that sort of interaction. So I found that to be really good and a crucial moment in my own practice and hopefully for the students themselves. So that's just a little bit of my experience with the Art Museum. I found them, again, highly collaborative, really willing to engage, to come into class or to facilitate those spaces that I was talking about. If you have any questions about what I've mentioned, please feel free to get in touch. That would be fantastic. Thanks very much.